Well, first of all, I want to thank everybody for coming. Listen up. For coming. And today's topic, pay attention now, focus. Today's topic is restaurants that you like to go to growing up before age 18. Some people say, well, I've never grown up. And so I've been thinking about it. And so we want to recognize that this is the Marietta High School monthly recurring. We started out with 72, but we more inclusive. We reached out to older and younger folks. And today we have a very special star with us. Her name is Mary Lou Cagle. Give it up for Mary Lou. Mary Lou Cagle, you were a star at Marietta High School on the basketball court, and you were class of 1952. And I'm going to turn the microphone over to you to tell us about you. And soon we know nothing other than what I just said about, because you were old. You're Marietta royalty.
Well, I may be royalty, but I'm not old Marietta.
Okay.
I say that, I don't mean that in a bad way, but.
Okay, well, stop there. I'm going to pass the mic. We need the microphone here to record, and also some people are soft talkers, and hold it close to you. Pass this down to Mary Lou Cagle.
I brought my stuff.
Okay, hold it up close.
Okay, is that good? Yeah. Okay. I moved here, well, first of all, I'm 91 years old.
Wow.
And I'll be 92 this year. Anyway, we moved here during World War II in 1943, in February of 43. And I attended Waterman Street School in the afternoon session. Not a lot of people know they had 2 sessions of school during the war. So I did that until, anyway. So I attended Waterman Street, Marietta High School, graduated in 1952. And I played on the championship basketball team in 1951. That was the state championship team. And since I wasn't here last week, I brought all my stuff. I'm gonna tell you about the restaurants in a minute. Yeah. But here's my sweater.
Oh, hold it up. Yeah. Thank you, Ann, for helping.
You're welcome. Now this sweater is 70, what's 51 from 25?
73 years old.
Okay. Wow. That's my sweater. And I was a junior. I was not a senior. I was a junior when we won the state. And I guess that's upside down. And I guess I was a star. I don't know why they put that there.
Were you the captain or something?
I was the next year, but not as junior. And that's the state championship.
Wow.
Wow. So cool.
Yeah. So that's a pretty good wool sweater. Just, it doesn't have any holes in it.
Wow. Where did you live at?
Okay, when we moved here, I lived in a brand new house on Clay Street. They call it Old Clay Street now. Little bitty street now, but it went all the way. I could walk to Atlanta Street, walk across Atlanta Road, Atlanta Street, catch a streetcar to Atlanta, and then we could catch a streetcar coming back to Marietta, but we walked most of the time. I lived there until 1945 when the war was over, and then we moved to a different place. But I've lived here since 1943.
Did you know a lady named Barbara Bridges, Barbara Bell? She played basketball back then. She's 86. So
she was way after me, yeah. So anyway, that's,
I was going to say.
Yeah, what do you got? Show
this is the,
closer to your mouth.
This is the Marietta High School. I'm in the Hall of Fame 2 times, and this is the 51 with our entire team. And then I'm in the Hall of Fame because when I was a senior. That's what that's for. So
Mary Lou, put it on pause. Tell us. No. Don't turn it off. What are you bringing to us to feed us, John?
This is our ensalada de campo, our house salads, some fresh greens, local greens, cucumbers, tomatoes, red onions, and there's a white balsamic, good little Italian dressing.
And the protocol here is when the food lands, go ahead and serve yourself and eat while the speaker's speaking. And back to you, Mary Lou, you have the floor.
Okay, well anyway, I just brought these today because this is a pretty neat thing.
Yeah.
And this was in 2004 or 5, I don't know. And that's in 9. Anyway. So-
Where are you in the photo? Which one is you?
Oh, I'm the one looking where I shouldn't be looking. I'm on the second row looking over to the right.
Oh,
to
okay,
the-
I want to say.
And you can pass those on, you
Yeah.
can't hurt them.
Yeah. Pass them around.
Okay, so now am I supposed to talk about my favorite restaurants in Marietta?
I tell you, yeah, go ahead. Well, the topic, tell us about your favorite restaurant and some stories about it. Yes, we want to.
Well, I was trying to figure out which decade I wanted to choose. So I chose the 1940s
Right.
because the square in Marietta, until the shopping center was built on South Cobb Drive, Cobb Center, was a different place. So we would walk from our house, which was maybe a little half a mile, I'm not sure.
This
Put it on
is-
pause. What are you bringing to
This
us?
is asparagus with a preserved lemon vinaigrette, and it is, the sauce is
Excellent.
tremendous.
Back to you, Mary Lou. You have the floor.
Okay, anyway, we would walk to town, and there was the City Cafe, which I never went to, but we would eat at the Economy Ice Cream store. Economy Ice Cream, they had the best hot dogs in town, and ice cream, and it was on Church Street where there's a new little place going in there, it's called Woody's,
Yeah.
Woody's something.
Cheesesteak.
What do you, she says?
Yeah, that's where that was. And then the other place, we would eat at McClellan's Dime Store.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so that's my Marietta.
So what other restaurants were there around the square in the 1940s?
Well, there was the City Cafe
Right near the courthouse.
by the courthouse, and then there was another restaurant, but we never did eat there, that I
A lot
remember.
of lawyers and judges would eat through the courthouse crowd.
Right, down that little side street that used to be Washington Avenue.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know that either. And then they turned it into, Roswell Street now. But then I was gonna tell you, we went to the Henry Grady Hotel
Oh,
in
yeah.
Atlanta on Peachtree Street. Does anybody know that?
Yeah, it's fancy.
And I was 9 years old, and we would eat at the Paradise Room.
Oh.
And they had white tablecloths like this, and entertainer. And the entertainer was, I had to look this up because I couldn't remember, was Elmo Tanner, and he was a whistler. That was his entertainment. So that's about it.
Let's have it up to Mary Lou. Pass it to Ann. Ann, class of 72. Tell us about restaurants that you enjoyed growing up here, and you grew up here in Marietta, so tell us.
I did. Okay. I also went to Waterman Street, first grade, and then West Side on. My favorite restaurants, oh gosh, maybe I'm a pretty young teenager. The Trio,
Yeah?
loved it. My favorite, Sanchez, was an amazing cook. And we used to go there all the time, and I would order, when I was really young, I would order a hot dog without the bun.
Huh.
And, my brother would order a mayonnaise sandwich, but Sanchez would always accommodate us. But then, my taste,
Ann, closer.
I'm sorry, my taste got more refined and I ordered fried chicken after that. But I loved his restaurant because when you went in there, he had all those little flamingo dolls up on
Ann, what are you bringing to us?
This is homemade sun-dried bow tie pasta.
Okay.
It is served with tomatoes and some caramelized eggplant.
Oh,
is in
good.
there as well.
Thank you, John. Ann, back to you. You have the floor.
like I was saying, Sanchez, in their restaurant in Trio, they had this terrace all the way around at the top, and it had flamenco dancers, little dolls dressed up with all the greenery. And when you first walked in, at the very end of the, right before you went into the kitchen, they had one of those convex or concave pictures of Jesus. So wherever you sat in the restaurant, he was staring at you.
So you behaved yourself.
You better make sure you pay for
He's
that
watching.
food. Yeah, and one of my other favorite restaurants was George's Steakhouse.
Yeah. George
Love
Sedales.
going to George's Sedales, love going there, and Jimmy the Greeks. Those were probably my favorite. Oh, we used to go to Joe's Steakhouse too
Yeah.
on 41. we would go there. So those were my favorite restaurants that we went to, you know, besides McDonald's. That's it.
Let's give it up for Carol, tell us about your favorite restaurants growing up.
Well, I've heard the name already several times, but you could not beat Rio Vista.
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah. What was great about it?
Yeah.
Well,
I never was there.
yeah, the catfish were outstanding,
Fried.
fried, and then the little bitty hush puppies. And, but, you know, when I was growing up, to go out to a restaurant, that was a big deal. So we didn't go out that often, but I remember a little place on South Cobb Drive, right where Benson Pool comes into it. It was a different version of McDonald's, but it was called Sandy's. And they had the little warm hamburgers with those little bitty onions.
Go over the bridge, was it before, on this side?
It was right there at Cobb Center,
Oh, okay.
and then crossed over, and it sat right over on the left going out of Marietta. But that, at that time, we were going to church on further down South Cobb, so that was the big treat coming home from church, is we would stop at Sandy's and get the 10-cent hamburgers.
Was that kind of like Crystal is, similar?
Similar, yeah, so that is my two favorite places.
Let's give it up for Carol. And also, when you're finished, say, I'm finished, I'll know that you're finished. And you've been doing a good job, I've trained you well in the past. Okay, Ken, tell me about growing up, what restaurants?
My biggest joke for people that haven't seen me and don't remember me, I went to Douglas County. Had two places in Douglasville. One was a Dairy Queen, which is still there today, still the same one. And a place called the Tiger's Den, because we was Douglas County Tigers. And that was called the Tiger's Den, which is not there anymore. And the only places in Lithia Springs to eat was two drugstores. And what I remember about that was Daddy would carry us to the drugstore with him, and everybody would walk in saying, "Give me a cup of that dishwater." That's coffee. And I'd sit there and look at them in the middle of summer, 90 degrees, drinking coffee, and sweat would come over my head. How do you drink that hot stuff in hot weather? And, but I'd get my moon pie and my RC cola. And if we got good grades, we'd go up to a little place in Douglasville, and they had good hot dogs. And then what I really remember was when we went to Cartersville, I believe it was called the 4-Way Stop. And we'd eat there. And what I remember about that was the guy the cook, he was kind of bent over. And he was the cook, and I remember that. And but that's about it for me in Lithia Springs. I'm done.
Joanne, tell us about your favorite restaurants in Kingston, New York.
So I grew up in Kingston, New York, and I remember for the longest time on Sundays, that was my dad's day off, so we would go to the Tea Garden, which was a Chinese restaurant, and I loved it. But after many years, my father said, "That's it, no more Chinese." And we went to a restaurant called Lee Herb's, and that's the first time I ever saw a salad bar. Remember? I mean, it was like just amazing, a unique, all-you-can-eat salad bar.
Yeah, that's a big deal.
I like that. And then, even though I didn't grow up in Marietta, I do remember Jimmy the Greeks, and I loved it. They had the best Greek salad. Do you remember what was in the middle of that hidden underneath? It was a
Potato
big
salad.
scoop of potato salad. It was delicious. And I've never had, oh, I'm sorry.
Joanne, put it on pause. What's incoming food?
All right, I got broiled grouper medallions, and they are kind of broiled in that garlic butter, and then he adds the Red Island peas right there in the middle. They're really
Oh,
good.
good.
Thank
And
you
they're
so
on the
much.
black-eyed peas.
This pasta is delicious, by the way. It's
Very good.
Back to you, Joanne.
Oh,
You got the floor.
so where was I?
Talking about Jimmy
Oh,
the Greek.
Jimmy the Greeks, and I have never had a Greek salad that good. It was so delicious. So that's my story.
Let's give it up for Joanne.
They had the best pistachio. I think that's how you pronounce it. It's like a Greek lasagna,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's not the stock, it doesn't have the eggplant. And amazing, sorry.
Well, one of the ones that I really stand out in the late 60s, while my parents were still together as a couple, they divorced in 72. Prior to that, we would go to Joe's Steakhouse on US 41. It was between Allgood Road and what is now the North Loop. And we would order the steak for 2 and the steak for 3. And it was in a gigantic plate, and it was done. And there were 6 of us, but that was a lot of steak. And I remember that being fancy. And also George's, which was on Atlanta Road near Grambling Street, West Dixie, Georgia. It was a very small place. And George Segalis, and my father would take us there, and we always got steak. You would get steak there. And they did the road widening there, and they took all of his parking, and he closed it down. What you got for us there?
Margarita pizza, fresh mozzarella cheese, and our fresh tomato sauce made here. He makes that crust himself, kind of spins it and makes it to order. And some fresh basil on top. And, oh, I'm sorry, man. And so I got one more to bring. Fresh basil on top as well.
Well, thank you so much, Sean. Back to you, Matt. I've got the floor. And and also Jimmy the Greeks, Jimmy and Mary Duvlaris. Jimmy was actually, they're both Greek, but Mary is actually from Greece. Jimmy, she said, he's not Jimmy the Greek, he's Jimmy the Yankee. That's for sure. But I used to eat all of their stuff, and a group of lawyers and judges would meet there every work day, Monday through Friday, except, well, Kiwanis we had on Thursday, but we would meet there, and you would find lawyers and judges, and you'd talk about cases, politics, who's running for this, and it's very fun. But I'm finished, and so now I'm going to turn it over to Sharon. Sharon, just give it up for Matt. Sharon, you have to hold it close to your mouth.
I'm Sherry Kane, and we didn't go out to eat a whole lot when I was growing up. We'd go to Gino's Pizza sometimes, and we went to the Four-Way on the way back to my grandmother's in Cartersville. And then we went to George's occasionally, but we eat at home most of the time. I did the cooking. But that's about all for me.
You know, you just reminded me of Russo's pizza too.
Russo's, yeah.
That was really good.
Yeah.
Give us a chance. Kathy, tell us about your favorite restaurants growing up.
Let me think. I'm like Sharon, my family, we didn't really go out to eat. I guess low income or they just didn't like to go out. But when I started dating, I started going out. And Steak and Ale, it was on 41. I used to really like that. And Russo's, I really like that. It's the first time I ate pizza when I went to Russo's. And in Atlanta, I used to like to go to the Midnight Sun.
Oh, yeah.
It was fancy, but I liked it. And I think that's about it. That's about it on my eating.
Okay, give it up to Kathy. Kathy, tell us about the restaurants you enjoyed growing up.
Okay, one of the best ones that I loved was the Crystal.
No.
Because if my mom would cook the sauerkraut and wieners or the salmon patties, I was out of the house and I didn't come back for quite a while. because I couldn't stand the smell.
Smell.
So I would walk up to the Crystal, because we lived kind of behind the Crystal.
Now, where was the Crystal located? Which one?
The one that's, right there on Roswell Road.
Is it
Yeah,
still there?
where, yeah, it's
Crystal?
still there. The one that's right across the street from
The Marietta Diner?
Marietta.
No, that's not Roswell, that's US
Oh,
41.
41.
Yeah.
See, I'm not good with
Yeah.
street
That's
names.
US
I
41.
know, I lived here forever, but I just know to go this way and go that
Right.
way.
You just know how to get there, don't know how to tell how to get there.
It's just around the corner, you know?
Well, tell us what you like
So,
to eat at the restaurants, hamburger, or
just their cheeseburger. That was all I would get, except for when I was, my first pregnancy, I worked downtown Atlanta. And we would sometimes go out to eat, so I would have one piece of chicken and Coke and, I don't know, probably fries, and that was it. That just filled me up. And usually only one hamburger would fill me up, no, or cheeseburger, no hamburger, just the cheeseburger. And then another place was the Rio Vista. My dad would take us there. We ate at home as well all the time, so that was very special. Sometimes on Sundays we would go there to the Rio Vista. I think Sundays, and because it was all the catfish you could eat.
Yeah.
And my mom and dad loved catfish. So
fried
therefore,
catfish, right?
yeah, I loved catfish too. So, and like somebody mentioned, they're hush puppies. Oh my gosh, they're so good. My mom would put butter on her hush puppies, so now I put butter on my hush puppies. She started us doing that. And I was trying to remember, there was another place that I thought of a minute ago, and now it's left my brain.
That's all right.
Well, it's all right.
Yeah.
It may
yeah,
come back.
Exactly. So, but those were the two places. One that I would go to. No, not many of the rest of my family would go to Crystal. Myself and one brother, we would, Crystal was our thing. But the Rio Vista was the big one that we went to. And if I think of the other one,
We'll bring the microphone
we'll
back.
bring it back.
Yeah.
I'll tell you who it was.
Okay, let's give it up for Piastra.
Yes, the other one, Shoney's. We used to eat there all the
Shoney's.
Yeah. We used to go there.
And the village.
Yeah, and yeah, once we get, everybody has an opportunity, we'll open it up and you can do follow-up. Hannah, now you're younger than we are, and
Yes.
so tell me for the camera, what class at Marietta did you graduate?
So
When?
I didn't attend Marietta High School, I went to private school.
Oh, well, what year did you graduate?
I graduated in 2010.
Okay. So
I was born in 92,
Yeah, what-
so.
What were your favorite restaurants in the Marietta?
Yes, growing up, so 18 and under. So it's February, and every February, my dad would take me to the daddy-daughter dance at the Marietta Conference Center.
Oh, yeah.
And I always remember before we would go to the conference center, he would always take me to Kiefer's.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I loved Kiefer's because I thought they had the best chicken fingers. That's still my favorite food today, so it stuck with me. And I just always thought it was fancy, and I knew it was a classy bar even from a young age. And then another place he would take us as kids that I liked and I miss is El Nopal, which used to be on 41 near Allgood. It's a Mexican restaurant. It's closed, but I always used to tell my dad, they have the best Mexican chicken fingers. Can we please go there? So I would say El Nopal and Kiefer's.
Cute.
So yeah, that's it for me.
Yeah. Betsy, tell us about your favorite restaurants and then growing up in Marietta.
Okay. I'm from a large family, so we didn't go out to restaurants very often. But my first memory was when I was the 5th youngest child before the 9. And we lived on Church Street, and Dad would go to Raven's Marble Inn and get a bunch of hamburgers. They were all wrapped in paper.
Was that Aqua?
That was in Elizabeth.
And now
And,
it's the hot dog place.
Yeah.
and he'd bring them home, and Mom would lay out newspaper in the on the living room floor, and me and Philip and Mary and Mark and Matt would sit on the paper and eat those hamburgers while we watched TV on our old Zenith television with legs.
Yeah.
And that's just a great memory. And I think we have a picture of us sitting on the paper.
I think that's a riot that they spread paper on the floor.
Not to mess up the carpet. On special occasions, though, and I can't remember if Mom came with us. I kind of think that Mom stayed home to get a break from the kids. But on Easter and some Sundays, Daddy would take us to Pinecrest.
Yes, all you could eat.
Pinecrest Inn, Motel and Inn, and they had
Buffet.
a buffet.
Oh, gigantic.
And it was like, we all got our own food. You know, it didn't come out of a pot. You know, we had our own chicken leg. It was really special. A special memory for someone in a large family. So those are my 2 greatest memories growing up.
That's great. Let's give it up. Now, I'm going to pass the microphone. Who has a follow-up question or would like to add something that this may have sparked a memory that you would like to share? So,
One more laugh.
okay.
Does anybody remember where Nick's used to be on Session Street before it moved
Yeah.
over across from the Waffle House? Our dad used to take us there a lot. They had the best potatoes, like the best Greek potatoes. That's another place I loved as a kid. So.
Carol.
I just happen to remember this. It was on 41 in the Acres Mill area, close to Storyland.
Yeah.
And it was a restaurant. And as you went in, there was a well. That they had it enclosed, but they had a light. And you could go over to the glass and look down, way down into the well.
Oh, wow.
And it was a restaurant. And I cannot, Marietta. Do you remember such? Is that?
I remember where Storyland was.
Yeah.
Was it Royal Vista, or Rio Vista was right next to Storyland, wasn't it, over there?
It might have been Royal Vista then.
Yes, they were related.
Oh, okay.
Royal Vista.
But I just remember that was the highlight of going, was to look down in that hole. You know.
That's funny.
Do you remember Village Pizza Inn,
Oh, yeah.
which is where Marietta Diner is now? But when we were in high school, that was a place that you went to get pizza.
And they had a
Yes.
slide, a big slide in there.
Yeah.
Remember that?
They have what?
A slide.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, that's where Dawn grew up.
Didn't they also have like a player piano or something where you sang with the bouncing ball up there on the,
Really?
I'm thinking
Yeah.
that they did.
But it was the place to go at the high schools. You'd go there and you could buy, well, we didn't buy beer, but you could buy Coca-Cola with a big pitcher of Coca-Cola, and you just drink Cokes and Cokes. But it had pizza, but Village Inn, I remember that being a very popular night spot for a Marietta high school student. And another big place
Good date place.
was the Dairy Queen, the Brazier,
The Brazier.
on Powder Springs. And that's where, if you took driver's education, the driver's ed, he would drive around, let's go to the Brazier, and he'd go there and get something to eat. And that's part of your driver's education.
Coach Williams.
Yeah, Coach Williams.
Coach Williams.
He was so sweet.
Yeah.
He was sweet.
Okay, and you want to say
I was
something?
just gonna say that,
Okay.
okay.
Marvin Welch.
That's
my daddy.
Yeah.
Cooked out, I mean, we went out quite a bit to eat, but my grandmother lived with us, so she liked to cook, and she would get a little offended when we would go out. But Daddy, every weekend, he cooked out, what are the steaks, filet mignon with the bacon around it. They would buy big boxes of that, and my dad would cook out
Fancy.
all the time. Well, there was only 5 of us. Excuse me, but I did not like steak, but I loved bacon. So he would cook it and get the bacon really crispy for me, and I would eat everybody's bacon and not the steak. And I want y'all to know that was some fine bacon at my house, you know. And we also used to go to Ray Van's out on
US 41 and
41,
South
yeah,
Loop, which is
where you
what-
drove
place.
in and ordered, because my mom fixed whoever owned the place. I don't know if it was the Ray Vans or who owned it, but my mom had her own beauty shop, so they were customers of her, or she, you know, the wife was. And so we would go down there all the time, and I'm not a great drinker, but they had the best grape drinks in the world. And they just knew when we drove up, oh, Dan wants a grape drink. And it's kind of like going, Norm, people know you. And it's nice to have your order already known, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else? Come on. Mary Lou, you got something? Go.
I can tell you a story about Joe's Steakhouse, but it
Yeah.
didn't have anything to do with
Well,
food.
You'll come back. Mary Lou?
You wanna hear this? You wanna hear this romantic story?
Yes.
Yeah, hold it close.
Oh. My mother, we cooked out
Closer, hon. Closer.
We cooked out a lot, and I took a lazy load of dishes up the stairs to my kitchen, and I dropped it, and I thought something went in my eye, a glass. So I just got in my car, went up to the hospital. I live on Seminole Drive, which is just at the foot of the hospital, and I just parked my car, walked in, told them what happened, and they said, "You're lucky. There's an eye doctor here." So I'm not gonna tell you who this guy is, you probably know him, but anyway. So he looked in my eye and he said, "You have glass in your eye." He said, "Don't touch it, don't rub it. In the morning, it'll come to the corner, and you come back to my office and I'll get it out." And that's what I did. And so that afternoon he called me and he said, "Do you like to go up to the lake?" And I
He's asking you out on a date, huh?
No, well, yeah. So I said yes, and I didn't know anything about this guy. And he said, "Well, I've got a boat." Now, in my mind, I envisioned a little boat.
Oh.
So he came to my house. He had a Cadillac that was about 10, one of those old Cadillacs that had the fin in the back.
How old were you?
I was old enough to know better. I was 25 or
Okay.
I never did tell anybody. I'm not married. I've never married, so I didn't mention that in my 91 years. So anyway, he came and picked me up in his car, and we went up to the lake. And he had a yacht. I mean, it wasn't a boat. It was it wasn't a little boat. It was a big boat. And Joe of Joe's Steakhouse, and I don't know if it was his wife. He lived on Allgood back then, close to us. Anyway, he and his somebody was there, and it was at night. In the afternoon, and they said they were going swimming. And said, "We're going swimming." And I said, "Well, I didn't bring a bathing suit."
You don't get no bathing suit.
He said, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And I said, "Well, it matters to me. I don't even know y'all." So anyway, that's my story about Joe. But I did like Joe's Steakhouse. It was great. And I dated that guy a long time. But anyway.
That's a good story.
No, I did not ever go skinny dipping.
Kathy had something.
Kathy.
That's
Here's Kathy.
Kathy,
Yeah.
you're on.
Well, I was just going to add that Shoney's was another place that the teenagers would go and hang out. You would even pull in and park, and everybody just, get the speakers there, you know, and get their.
Was it a drive-in where you park your car?
Yeah, the Shoney's right there on 41. Uh-huh. And, that was just, I don't know, so disappointed when they did away with that.
They were always busy. I wondered why they closed. I remember that.
I know, they were always busy.
Yeah, there's still Shoney's around, and that was always busy.
It was, and why they closed it down, I don't know. And I did even work there for a little
I
while.
did when I was 16.
Yeah.
The Shoney's on
I was
41? The
Near-
Shoney's on 41?
Near Kmart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Betsy, what do you have?
Do y'all remember where, the big boy outside kept getting stolen?
Yes.
Was that your family?
Shoney's Big
No,
One?
no. No.
We thought that's why you brought it up.
I don't know, but I had a flashback of my brother Mark catching the church awning on fire with Frank Hunter. I don't know where that came from. But anyway.
Yeah.
On Old Marietta, I'll have to look it up because this is bringing back something to me. The big boy at Shoney's was put on the roof of Sprayberry High School one year, and there's a picture of it. I'll have to share that again because I saw that a few years ago and I saved it, and I always thought that was so funny.
Kidnapped it.
Kidnapped him, yeah. Did he go anywhere else that anyone remembers? Where did he go? Where did he end up? Other just random places?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. Wow.
I've got some. Now, there was a big teenage hangout really before my time called Varner's. And Varner's was located where US I-75 in Roswell, where the Andretti's is, that area. And it used to be a teenage hangout, and teenagers used to go there and get in fights. I mean, it was like a ritual. Hey, there's going to be a big fight at Varner's, and now, were Marietta High School, or was this Wheeler High? No, Wheeler didn't exist back. It was Sprayberry?
No, Sprayberry wasn't.
Pass this to her, Mary Liz. What about Varner's? Because I want to hear about it.
Okay, well, Sprayberry wasn't built until 1953.
Oh,
I graduated in 52 and I know it opened in 53. But all the Marietta kids would go to Varner's, and people didn't have cars. They'd just go, well, like, I'm trying to think who had a car. Maybe Tommy, your Tommy, had a Jeep, but he couldn't drive it. He told me this story the other day. He had a Jeep, her husband, but he couldn't drive it. He wasn't old enough. So one of the other, Dick Jervy, as a matter of fact, is the one that drove it. So they would all pile in that Jeep and go to Varner's. And I didn't go very much because I played basketball, and that was after school, and that's when everybody went. But that was the hangout for Marietta High School.
Do you remember about getting in fights?
I never did know that.
Well, you did get in a fight.
No, I
didn't know when you watched it.
Nobody wanted to fight me because I was bigger than most of them.
Do you remember
Yes.
Do you remember the trampolines behind Varner's? They were built the level with the ground.
Oh.
First ones we had, I'd never seen them before. But right out behind Varner's, my parents would be hanging out with the Varner's and different people. And my brother and I would go right behind it. And they had built all these little trampolines. They were about the size of this table, maybe a little longer. And they were level with the ground, and you just stepped on them and jumped on them. We had the best time.
Was that on Roswell Road?
I don't remember us ever even paying for it.
Was that part of Varner's?
It was not. It was a completely different.
Did you have to pay for it? I mean,
Oh, yeah.
It was like
I guess my parents paid. I
recreation.
don't know. I'm not sure.
It was on Roswell Road.
Yes.
Yeah,
It was right behind
I did
Robert's.
that.
Yeah. We used to also like to go to St. Atherton's.
Atherton's drugstore?
Yes, St. Atherton's on
Sunday.
Sunday mornings. I would go to church, and I went to Maple Avenue Methodist, but sometimes I would go with Joyce, right? And she went to the Episcopal church, and we would sit up in the balcony, and she would, other kids were there, and they'd say, "Are you ready?" Yes,
Is that
we would
Lisa's
sneak
sister?
out of the yeah, Lisa's sister. We would sneak out of the balcony and walk up to Atherton's during church and get some French fries and a Coke or something, and then go back. So we started calling it St. Atherton's.
It's a holy place.
Yes, yeah.
That's good. Yeah, Ken.
This has nothing to do with eating, but y'all know the drive-ins, Dizzy Springs Drive-In, and the guys that used to get in the trunk.
Yeah, that's Marietta.
Oh, the drive-in movies. I've been there.
When we got there old enough for us to drive, 4 would get in the trunk,
Oh my gosh.
one driver, pay one time, and then they'd pile out of the trunk when we got there.
I've heard of people doing that.
Yeah. Well, now you know it's true.
Now I know somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did that.
Any follow-up? Follow-up? No. Okay, yeah, okay. Yeah.
The other place, once in a while, my dad would take us, and he just loved, was the Varsity in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah, that's.
I mean, he just loved to go there, get his, I don't know how many hot dogs. He would just get a bunch of hot dogs and have hot dogs.
You remember the lingo? Walking dog or swallow dog?
The black.
An FO.
What do you have? What do you, an FO, frosted orange.
Frosted.
They had a whole lingo,
Yes.
language.
Yes, they did.
Walk it
They
through the
did.
garden.
Yeah.
And they'd
Yeah.
yell at you if you weren't ready to order.
I know.
Yeah.
Order in your mind.
Like
and
the-
you're
Hurry up.
Like the
That's
super
right.
Nazi.
Came on time.
Yes.
And then it was so much more fun going there.
Wait, microphone.
They can't hear.
What's for
I was just saying it was so much more fun going in there and them doing their lingo and yelling, and like she said, yelling at you if you didn't have your order ready. I thought that was fun.
Yep.
Yeah.
I did, the Elizabeth Country Club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the very-
Oh, if you didn't order your dessert right away, you didn't get dessert.
Elizabeth Country
The
Club?
Marietta Fruit Company.
Oh, yeah, Elizabeth Country
Yeah.
Club.
Yeah, that's what we called it. You didn't have, yes, no soup for you,
Right.
no dessert for you.
Right, like if you didn't place your main order and your dessert at the same time, if they came back with your check, oh, now I want dessert, too late.
They kicked me out once with my son. We went there and met a friend to have lunch. I brought a popsicle in. He was a toddler.
You brought in your own food,
I
huh?
brought in my
Oh,
own food.
goodness.
They kicked me out and told me not to come back in until he was through with that popsicle.
Oh, Mary Lou's got something to say.
Were you talking about the Elizabeth Ann?
Yeah.
Barbara, who married Jimmy, she graduated with me.
Wow.
And Barbara Russell, and I couldn't believe how, as I saw her over the years, how she went down because they worked all the time, night and day. And even though I was a friend of hers, as I said, we graduated together. One day I was having company and I thought, well, I'll just run up there and get a cake or a pie or something. So I waited until almost closing time and I went in and I asked to speak to Barbara. And they said, well, what do you want? Well, I have company and I thought I'd just pick up whatever you have. Well, did you order it? No, I didn't order it. I mean, I'm just now coming in here. And so anyway, but they did not sell me one. Not at all.
I'm going for the fish. Is there a fish dish there?
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
get that.
I'm a fish eater.
I will say something about the varsity. Of course, when I played basketball, we played North Georgia teams and we played Atlanta teams and we rode the yellow school bus. And to go to, say, Cartersville and play, we played at 5:30. No, let me think about that. 6:30. We'd leave at Marietta High School at 2 o'clock. I mean, it took forever. Well, there was no 4-lane. There was no, I can't even remember. But when we played in Atlanta, we wore our suits underneath our warm-ups. We didn't go in a fancy place and dress. The only thing I had my tennis shoes. I didn't wear those, but I was dressed. And we'd go to the varsity, and we were all so proud, just like we were the only team, you know. We'd strut our stuff in the varsity, because we were a big deal. But I still love it.
Oh, yeah.
Follow-up questions, anybody?
Can I say one more
Sure,
thing?
sure.
I have to do- I wanted to call everyone's attention to Miss Hannah's necklace today.
Oh, okay.
It has a B-29 aircraft in it,
Oh.
and my father made this for me when I was a little girl, and it's been at my house all this time. And I was telling Hannah, plexiglass was kind of a new product in the 40s. It was, you know, unique, and he made that for me. And I decided, since she's such a good historian and likes all these things, that a lot of my family, I got a lot of family, but they're not interested, or at least I don't think they are. I didn't ask them. I just gave it to Hannah.
That's so nice.
Pass around, I won't steal it. John, do we have reserve today?
Yes, I got some cookies on ready. I'm just trying to make some room real quick for you.
Now, remember, take the food home.
Yes, some bottle it on the plate so we can give it one in your box.
Talk about
Bag is-
the
This
varsity.
has fish juice in it and drip, so don't mix
Okay.
it with that because it'll spoil.
I got you. So we'll keep this set.
No, get rid of it.
Get rid of it. Got you.
So
good.
there used to be a little guy down there. He'd always have 10 to 15 hats on. His name was Flossie. He's from Chicago. And we go down there, Flossie, what's on the menu? He could go down everything and say everything on it, and have the lingo to go with it. But my daddy remembered him from Chicago.
I'll tell you what we're gonna do now, since we pretty much covered the topic. I'm going to turn the microphone off, and we're gonna do freestyle. So to this point, we've had one group conversation. Now you can break up into smaller individual. And for example, you can say, "Oh, do you know so-and-so, the name game?" Or, "Oh, you love this restaurant, this talk about this restaurant." So now, please come back. You are welcome, okay?
Well, I was gonna say what a pleasure it's been to be here today.
Well, you added a lot to this.
Wonderful meal.
Let's give it up for Mary Lou. Hey, turn this off.